As a former manager of Brandon, what can you tell us about him?
The physical ability, it's obviously easy to see. He's a strong dude, big guy. It's not just God-given ability, the stuff that he's doing. He's actually working day in and day out to get, to where he wants to get.
The next one I'm going to ask you about goes both ways, a pitcher and a hitter. It's Nolan McLean.
Swings the bat as hard as I've seen somebody swinging it, and then the ability to go out there and not only perform on the mound, but managing the workload between both things is not easy. But if there's somebody that can do it, it's him.
Jonah Tong, what's it been like to just watch him pitch this year?
Right now, he seems like he understands what he needs to do in order to be where he needs to be, and it's been fun, man. It's just the maturation of a guy, really raw when he came in to now being this guy that is dominating the opposition. It's fun to watch.
Hey, it's Future of Flushing. I'm Vito Calisi. This is Jonathan Barron, and we're joined by Gilbert Gomez, manager of the Brooklyn Cyclones out here. We're in Maimonides Park. You came last year. You're with PSL. How's it been adjusting to New York City life?
It's first of all, thank you for having me on your spot. It's pretty fun. The stuff that you guys do is pretty cool. But no, man, it's definitely a difference. Coming from a place, and I've been in Port St. Lucie for the past 3 years in a row. So for me, it's definitely an adjustment. The traffic is definitely different.
You're telling us.
Yeah, it's insane. And just finding places for me to go when I'm not in the ballpark, just getting accustomed to the place because my family is gonna be here for a little bit in a while, so I have to find ways to keep them entertained. So I'm just trying to find my ways out here, but it's definitely a difference and an adjustment.
So you guys are off to a really good start. Right now you're a few games out of first place. The first half is coming to an end. What's your 30,000-foot view? Look at what's gone on so far here as we are approaching mid-June.
The willingness of the guys to put in the work day in and day out. I think that's the biggest, most important aspect of what we're able to build so far. Having an atmosphere where guys feel that they can get better every day. And it translates into results. We want it to translate into results. It doesn't happen that often, or we don't control those things every time. But, the fact that they're able to come in and feel like they are in a space that they can actually get better day in and day out, that's the most important thing that we're trying to create.
Now, do you find it like that you have to help players kind of get adjusted when they have to come to Brooklyn? Because you come from a place like PSL that, like you said before, it's like a very different style of life. It's a very different pace of life. Is there an aspect of training guys for, hey, this is what you're trying to get towards in a few years?
I think it's second nature. Once you get in here, there's definitely an adjustment in the way that you live outside the game or outside the stadium. And we have, thankfully we got coaches that help out with that adjustment. Guys that have been here before that are willing to answer questions for those guys. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You're coming into the ballpark, you get ready to play. You do the stuff that you need to do to get better on your specific area. But if you feel comfortable outside of the field, it definitely helps to get better inside of the field as well.
You guys are doing a great job with the development, so much that you've already graduated a few guys, a few top prospects in the system. So you manage these guys. Feel like there's really no one better to talk a little bit about a couple guys. So I'm going to throw some names out there. You could just kind of give us what fans should know about all three. So the first one, of course, is Brandon Sproat, who left here and has cut his walk rate in half and is hitting a hundo on the radar. So as a former manager of Brandon, what can you tell us about him?
It's, Brandon is feeling way more comfortable, within the organization, within his body. He knows what he needs to do day in and day out to get ready to perform. The physical ability, it's obviously easy to see. He's a strong dude, big guy, power arm, and he works. One thing that I think is important for people to know out there is that this guy puts in the work day in and day out, and it's not just God-given ability, the stuff that he's doing. He's actually working day in and day out to get, to where he wants to get. But just feeling more comfortable within himself is the most important thing for him.
So that was the only true pitcher on the list. The next one I'm going to ask you about goes both ways, a pitcher and a hitter. It's Nolan McLean. What about Nolan?
He's a great guy, great baseball guy. Loves the game in and out, talks baseball. People like to be around him. Players love to be around him. He's one of those guys that people gravitate around him. And then just a physical specimen, man. Swings the bat as hard as I've seen somebody swinging it, and then the ability to go out there and not only perform on the mound, but managing the workload between both things is not easy. But if there's somebody that can do it, it's him. He has a really good head above his shoulders, and he understands what it needs to be done to accomplish what he's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, very unique player. We actually got to talk with him last year at the end of 2023 when he was at the Port St. Lucie Mets, and definitely got the same sense of what you just said.
Yeah.
Third guy is Ryan Clifford. who was promoted recently. He's been on a bender with Binghamton, 3 homers in his last 4 games. What can you tell us about Ryan?
So that just getting hot, man. Another guy that, again, another baseball guy. I think his father played minor league baseball. I think his father played in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. So
where he played.
Yeah. So like he comes from a baseball family. He knows what it takes to go through the minor league system, understanding the grind. He's a very process-oriented guy, but he's fun to be around, man. Like if you really get to know him, he's a goof, man. I love to be around him, and he's, again, 20 years old, so he's also maturing within his own body, understanding what he needs to do on the box, and the sky's the limit, man. He has that potential to be a middle-of-the-order impact bat if everything clicks for him.
Now, a guy that has been promoted this season that you saw last year when you were in PSL, Jonah Tong, has just been on a tear and has had a breakout season. What's it been like to just watch him pitch this year?
Special. The improvement on his ability to be in zone has been otherworldly, in my opinion. Another guy that is now understanding what his body is. Most of these guys, man, are learning, what their body do in space and what they need to do in order for them to accomplish what they're trying to do on the mound. And Jonah, he's a very process-oriented guy. He has a really nice routine going on. And right now he seems like he understands what he needs to do in order to be where he needs to be. And it's been fun, man. It's just the maturation of a guy, really raw when he came in to now being this guy that is dominating the opposition. It's fun to watch.
Did you know that he's an aspiring photographer?
I had no idea.
Yeah, he takes photography classes. Calvin Ziegler told us that last year.
That's awesome.
So you got to get him to take a picture of you.
I'll talk to him about it, man. Hopefully he can get a good one, because the ones that I've been taking so far, it's not working.
No good?
It's not working.
So let's take a snapshot of the transition. I know Vito asked you about your transition from low A to high A. But what about the player transition and your role in helping the player when they get here from a lower league? The talent adjustment, the adjustment with more responsibility, and everything that comes with taking that step up. What do you think the biggest challenges are for a player, and how do you help them make that adjustment as smoothly as possible?
I think the biggest thing is to continue to understand that baseball, unfortunately, is a game of failure, and there is going to be a learning curve one way or the other. For some people, it's early. For some people, it happens later. But I feel like the best thing that we as coaches, me as a manager, it's being available and be willing to put in the work with them and be on the boat with them, whether they're going good or they're struggling. When you make them feel that you are a part of the process and they are a part of their own process, I think that they can, feel more comfortable regardless of where they go. But there's definitely an adjustment period. It's a new place. You're coming into a new ballpark. It's a new clubhouse. You're living in a new place. So, all those things we do take into consideration. And we're trying to, fast forward that time that they have to adjust. We want to fast forward that time as much as possible. But we understand that sometimes it takes longer for some people.
Now, you mentioned failure. And I want to get your take on this because, we have our opinions, but no better person to hear it from than you. Do you think that it's important in the maturation and the development curve of a player to experience that failure in the minor leagues? And I ask that because there are some guys who don't fail at all until they get to the big leagues, and they go on their path and they think it's easy and they're just going to waltz to a 330 career batting average, 400, 500 home runs and the Hall of Fame career, but it's not like that. And for some guys, when they taste that failure for the first time at the big league level, they don't know how to pick themselves back up, and that's obviously the hardest level to pick yourself up at because there's no better talent in the major league. So do you think it's important to fail in the minors before you eventually ascend all the way to the bigs?
I think it's bound to happen. I don't think they need to fail. Most of them are going to fail. And, failure, it depends on how you look at it. Maybe, I know for some people, it's going to feel more of a failure than for others. So, it's what are you doing day to day to prepare yourself to, embrace the day? And what other areas can you be really good at? So, because when you talk about failure, it's mostly offensively.
Right.
Everybody, it's only focused about, okay, the guy's not hitting. Well, are you able to post up and be a really good defensive player regardless of what you're doing on the offensive side of things? So that's when we come in and we try to preach the importance of sticking to the process and really focus on what's the task at hand. But yeah, going through failure, it's always gonna be good or bad, depending how you deal with it. And it's going to happen for everybody. I don't think there has been, if you are really successful, you're still failing 7 out of 10. So like failure is going to happen. It's more so what are you doing day in and day out to jumpstart the process all over again. But yeah, to your point or to your question, I think it's just bound to happen. You know, everybody eventually is going to face a wall. It's in baseball, it's just going to happen.
And it's a good thing. It's a healthy thing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that it's a part of the game, and it's a part of, you know, every single major league player or minor league player. It's the difference between the guys that are really elite is that their struggles usually don't last that long, and they always have something that they can fall back into. Whereas sometimes when we're in the minor leagues, we're always searching for something new, and we don't get back into the fundamentals of like the process of why we're failing.
Now, we want to talk to you a little bit about your style as a manager, because something we obviously noticed last year when we met you at spring training, for those who did not see these episodes, but Gilbert, you acted as a translator for a bunch of players when we were doing interviews at early spring training. And in those interviews, you could see you had like a really good relationship with a lot of these guys. You told us a little bit about them before we started. So how important is that connection to the player in your style?
Oh, it's key, it's huge, man, because like if you're going to deliver, you know, our job is to deliver not only good news, but also bad news in terms of like, you're not going to hear everything that you want to hear. Sometimes you're going to hear the reality of like, you're not performing to the level that you need to perform and whatnot. So if you can create that relationship, it's easier to digest because the player knows that it's coming from a spot of like, I want to get you better and I want to be a part of you getting better. So like when they feel that it's real, then it's easy to have those tough conversations. So it's super important for me to build a relationship with as many players as I can and coaching staff for that matter. So we can all feel like we are in this together and we're going to see these guys more than we see our family. So the least of what can do is just be, you know, creating a really good relationship with these people.
A couple of guys who have made the minor league journey themselves all the way to the big leagues and stardom, Francisco Alvarez, Edwin Diaz, have both been around these parts in this last week. How cool was it for you and also the guys, of course, to have those guys in the clubhouse, for Francisco to be behind the dish for the no-hitter, just all the incredible stuff that's gone on here in the last week?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't wish they were here. I wish they were contributing in the major league level right now.
That's a good answer.
And they were all healthy, but for the players though, like it's fun. It's cool for them to see those guys that are being successful at the highest level, and those guys are great, man. They talk with the players. They are willing to, you know, share information and willing to share stories and whatnot. So it's pretty fun, especially a guy like Francisco, that we do have some players that play with him over the course of his minor league career. So like being able to see him coming back, it gives these guys hope of like, you know, I can also make it. And, you know, Francisco and Edwin, they're super, super humble and they're willing to talk with these people. And it's been great. Like for the couple of days that they've been around, it's been super nice to have them.
Now, what's a day in the life like for you? Like, what's it like when you get into the ballpark, getting ready for a game?
It's a lot of work.
Got to deal with people like us.
It's a lot of work. That's a curveball that I got thrown out, but it's fine. It's, you know, it's a lot of preparation. It's always thinking about, you know, the upcoming days, the upcoming week. How do you want to set up the playing time? How do you want to set up the days? You know, connecting with your staff, making sure that everything is set up before the guys show up. So whenever they show up, everything is already mapped out for them. It's a lot of work. It's creating the schedules for the next day, for the next couple of days. So planning out, it's a big part of what a manager needs to do. So things are not, because if you don't, then things kind of get too quick on you. And also like having time to enjoy your family, talking with your wife and kids. And, you know, I have a daughter and a wife. They're not here right now, but they're coming soon enough. So like making sure that I'm preparing everything so I can have time to spend with them. So it's definitely a lot of like planning out the days before they happen. And then when you get here, it's work time, making sure that you're, you know, attacking the goals that you want to attack during the day with the guys.
But how much do you love it?
I love it. It's the only thing I know how to do. I've been a Met forever. Signed when I was 16 years old. Played for 7 years with the Mets. Been coaching for 7. So like for me, it doesn't feel like I'm working. You know, it feels like I'm just doing the one thing that, you know, God blessed me with the ability to do pretty well, and, you know, make sure that I'm not cheating the game and not, you know, taking shortcuts when it comes to like working with these guys. Like, I feel like it's our responsibility to give it all to them because it's hard. Baseball is hard, and they're really trying hard. So the least thing that we can do as coaches is just being there for them every single time.
And since you've been here for so long, you can speak firsthand to this. The improvements that the organization has made to the player development system.
Oh my God, it's night and day. It's from nutritional standpoint, housing standpoint, accommodating things that before it wasn't even thought about. These guys are in a really good spot, and this organization really prides themselves into, providing quality things for the guys so they can focus on developing as a player and not really having to spend so much time on other things. So I've never been in other organizations, but I know that we do a pretty freaking good job about all those things.
That's great.
Now, before we get out of here, you've been a part of a lot of minor league baseball games in your career. What would you say? Do you have any just standout classic minor league jerseys?
You guys are wearing a couple this weekend.
We're the old milkers for this week, so I don't know what's an old milker. I don't want to know either.
I believe it's something with oat milk.
Our favorite.
You think?
We love the Paw Patrol jersey that
Jose Quintana
hung it in his locker all year last year. But do you have any that stick in mind that you wore over the years?
You guys wore SpongeBob last year in Port St. Lucie, right?
I don't know, man. It's every Saturday. It's a new one for us in Port St. Lucie last year.
The elf one, the Christmas sweaters is one that you guys were in for.
This one, it's definitely up there.
The oat milk one.
It just I don't see how we ended up having that name on the front of our jersey, but it's.
I think I could tell you how it came to roost.
If you mind, please
it's green.
do. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I love it.
And it folds.
Yeah, it's all for the green, right? But
I believe that's what happened.
It's funny because the back of my jersey says manager, and the back of the baseball, the players is gonna say baseball player.
Really?
So,
That's fun?
I mean,
kind of.
Yeah, baseball
Different.
player on the back with a number, seems like a video game or something.
Is that gonna be one that you keep?
Nah, they can have it. They can have it. I got it.
Auction it
Have
off.
you kept any over the years?
No.
No.
I've kept a couple, but it's not the
silly
team.
ones. Yeah.
No.
I'm a fan of the OG Port St. Lucie Mets jerseys. Those are clean.
Yeah,
the white
right.
ones
Yeah.
you guys wore last
I
year.
love the Brooklyn. Well, the Cyclones logo with the actual Cyclone on it that
Yeah.
you're wearing.
That's the original logo back to 01.
Yeah.
I love the hat with the Brooklyn Bridge on it.
Yeah.
But I really like the Brooklyn script in the '86 Mets style font that they've been
Yes.
wearing.
Yeah.
And that Jordan pullover that I've seen people wearing.
He's brought it up to me
fire.
4 times
it's
today.
Fire. It's fire. I unfortunately only have one of those. So
Yeah, we were going to ask if you had whatever,
that's what I'm saying.
couple
So
extras.
not this time around.
It's all right. We'll come back. We'll come back for them. No problem. Even with the traffic here, we'll do it.
Well, Gilbert, thanks so much for taking the time. We know you got a busy
You got it,
day.
man.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Appreciate you guys.
Best of luck the rest
And you
of the
can
way.
listen to Future of Flushing on the Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Available on the Mets YouTube as well. And check out Meet at the Apple, the official Mets podcast. That's the Big League Show. This is the Minor League Show, but